Welcome back to the channel. My name is Timothy. On this channel we speak everything personal finance. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you how much money you should have in the bank. I want to start off by saying I am not a financial advisor. I do not have a degree in finance. I'm just a normal guy on YouTube who I believe has great finance. I think I'm good with my finances and I make smart decisions. I invest my money. I have a net worth over $150,000 and that's before the age of 30. This is all personal preference to me, how much money I think someone should have in their savings account. First, I want to start off by saying a savings account is not a place where you build wealth. A savings account is not an investment account. If you want to retire wealthy, if you want to retire and be financially free, then you want to put a lot of your money into your investment accounts. That's your brokerage, your Roth IRA, or your 401k, or into real estate. A savings account is a place where you hold money short term, or that could be where you hold your emergency fund, which is not a short-term thing because an emergency can happen at any time. You need to have that money put in there, but we'll talk about that later. So the biggest reason you don't want to put too much money in your savings account or invest your money in savings account is because your cash loses value over time. Your savings account cannot keep up with inflation. A normal savings account gives you a 0.0001% return on your money. A high yield savings account gives you maybe a 3% or 4%. So the goal is not to save everything. The goal is to deploy your money intentionally. You need to know where you want your money to go and put it there for those reasons. So you don't want to just go in here and throw as much money to savings as you want. You need to be strategic and you need to think about how much money you actually need to save compared to how much money you actually need to invest. Before we talk about emergency savings, before we talk about investing into our future, investing in Roth IRAs, brokerage accounts, investing 20% into your 401k, we need to pay off high interest credit card debt. We need to pay off high interest debt in general. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you invest in savings or you put it in your savings account, the interest rate on your credit card is going to outweigh the amount that you earn in your savings account or your investments by a lot. These interest rates on these credit cards are 20, 30%. In your investment, they give you a 7%, a 10% return on your money, and your savings account is giving you something way less than that. But also, before you start paying off this credit card debt, maybe you get a month worth of expenses or save $1,000 to your savings account because little emergencies will happen. But this credit card debt interest rate is a huge emergency. We need to get out of it as fast as possible. So how much should you have in your savings account? I would say that you should have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on your family lifestyle, okay? If you have 2 household income, you have no kids, maybe you need 3 months worth of expenses. So how do you know how much you spend monthly? You're gonna have to sit down by yourself, or if you have a spouse, you're gonna sit down with your spouse, and you're gonna have to look at your past bills and calculate how much you're spending monthly, your bare bone expenses. We're not talking about going out to eat, we're talking about your bare bone expenses, because when an emergency happens, everything else gets cut but your bare bone expenses. How much you spending on groceries? How much you spending on rent or your mortgage? How much you spending on electricity? How much you spend on your phone bill? Insurance, all these important things that you can't live without, how much you spending on that? And you want to add that up for the month, and then you're going to multiply that by 3 or 6. So for example, our 3-month emergency fund, because our expenses are super low, and this is saying we didn't have this house tax. This is saying if we had to pay for this house completely without someone living above us, then our bare bone 1 month of expenses is about $3,000. Probably $2,500, between $2,500 and $3,000. So that means for 3 months, we need $9,000. That's a lot of money, right? For 6 months, we need $18,000. So that is what you should be saving in your savings account. Maybe your monthly expenses come out to $5,000. So times that by 3, you're going to need $15,000. Times that by 6, you're going to need $30,000. It's a lot of money. I think that's super high. You can start looking at your expenses now and finding ways to lower them. Maybe you get different car insurance. Maybe you get rid of your car payment that you have. These are things that we could talk about in another video, but you can lower your expenses so your emergency fund doesn't have to be this huge number. This money for your emergency fund is not an investment, this is insurance. But you want to put it in a high yield savings account, so at least it's keeping up with inflation. You know, if inflation is 3%, maybe your high yield savings account's giving 3%, and we're okay with that because this is literally for emergencies. So you have $15,000 in your savings account for emergencies, we're not touching it. We're gonna leave that right there, okay? So you have to be okay with this being an insurance policy for when something bad happens. For example, where I work, someone is hurt right now, or someone just got injured and they were the only income in the household, and Now they're out, they can't work, they have no more leave, and it's like, oh man, you know, maybe they had a year's worth of money in an emergency fund, maybe they can weather the storm. So if you have maybe a one household income, maybe you need to save for a year's worth of expenses. A savings account is also good for short-term cash. I'm talking about buying a house. I'm talking about buying a car, buying a sofa, buying these big expenses is a great place to park your cash. Maybe you need $15,000 for your 3-month, or maybe that's your 6-month, and you want to buy a house. So how much is that down payment on a house going to be? 40, 60, 70? You want to put that in your savings account. So you might have $100,000 in your savings account at one time, which is that's a lot of money to save. Don't get me wrong, that is a lot of money to save. I am not just saying that like it's nothing. That's a lot of money to save. Maybe you need less. Maybe you put down 10%, so maybe you need $50,000 in your savings account. Everyone's financial picture is completely different, and the amount of money that you're gonna have in your savings account is completely different. Finances is personal. It's personal finance, and it's personal to everybody. So at the end of the day, there's no specific amount of money you should have in your savings account. It's all dependent on who you are, how much your expenses are, what you have going on. You don't want to buy a house if you just want to rent for the rest of your life, which is completely fine, as long as maybe you're investing the difference of maybe what you could afford for a house. If you're investing the difference and putting that into investments, that could be fine, but then you don't need that down payment. You don't need all that money. You might need $15,000 plus $10,000 for vacations, or $15,000 plus $20,000 so you can save for a car. This is all money for upcoming life moves, upcoming life changes, and a savings account is a great place to put this money. Once you have your credit card debts and all these hydro debts paid off, and you have your emergency fund saved, and maybe you already have the house, you don't need to get a house, you're done, emergency fund saved, you have some vacation money in there, you can invest the rest. You don't want to have this huge savings account. You don't want to put all your money in savings account. Like I said earlier, if you want to retire early, if you want to live financially free, then you need to invest your money, whether that's into your 401k, whether that's into your Roth IRA, or whether that's into your brokerage account, whether that's into real estate. Invest into yourself, invest into your future. Can't save your way to wealth. You have to invest your way to wealth, and you have to pick one of those four things. One of those four things. Your 401k, invest in your 401k, invest in a brokerage account, invest in a Roth IRA, or invest in real estate. Pick one. It basically comes down to invest in the stock market or invest into real estate. That's it. I do both. Starting to lean more towards invest in the stock market. It's so low risk. It's very low risk, and with real estate, you have a lot of moving parts. At the end of the day, this is what it is. Cash protects you, and investments help you grow. So you guys, what we're doing right now, we are investing, say 15% into our 401k. We're investing about 5% into our Roth IRA, and then whatever's left after our expenses, like going out to eat, entertainment, and housing, and all those things, we're putting the rest of that money into savings. Why? Because we are in a different area of life right now. So maybe last year we were investing a lot more money into the market because there wasn't much going on. But then we started to save because we wanted a car. We got the car, then we switched back to investments. And then we're like, hold on, we want to pay this car off as soon as possible. So now we're putting less into investments. Instead of doing 20%, maybe we're doing 15% now, and moving the extra money to our savings account so we can pay off this car, so we can rebuild our emergency fund. So we have a lot of different things going on. It's have different periods of time, different periods of life. Your periods of life might change. Maybe last year we were investing a whole bunch. This year we're saving. Next year we're going to save. Then maybe the year after that, we're going to get back on our investments because say we already got the house, say we already got the car. What else are we going to do with this money? There's no point of just saving money just to save money. We want to retire by 49, so we need to invest that money. Hopefully you guys have some idea of how much you should have in your savings account. And there is no set number, like I said. You want to have your emergency fund, and you want to have your short-term cash. Whatever that number happens to be, that's how much you should have in your savings account. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Hopefully it was an informative video. I know I didn't give you an answer exactly how much you should have because there is no answer. It's personal to you, and it's personal to your finances. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.